Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to Elevated Health Episode 2. We finally got a name for this thing. Back with my man Jake, Elevate Coach, my personal coach, who's getting me to dunk a basketball. Again, 5'9", 190. And I got bunnies to jump out the gym because of this guy. So definitely a guy we can all learn something from. And today, what we're going to be diving into is why you aren't losing weight, and we're going to take it just through the three, pillars of health and wellness: training, nutrition, and recovery. Those are really the three areas we need to be looking at, and all things health fall under those umbrellas. So we're going to take it why you aren't losing weight through the lens of all three of those. But first, Jake, what's going on, dude?
Not much, dude. Here talking about health. Loving every second of it.
Oh yeah, sipping coffee. You got coffee over there? Or?
No, I got my water.
Oh,
Coffee's a scam.
I've got that too. I've got some kombucha as well.
Oh, free drink rule. Bronny's gonna be happy for you.
I've got some sparkling water as well. Got him lined up, bro. I don't like leaving the desk, so.
There you go.
All right.
Efficiency right there.
Absolutely, bro. Can't get up, and the only reason I get up is I gotta pee. So, but let's dive right in. So before we dive into why you aren't losing weight from those three pillars, there's one thing I just want to cover real quick. Like in my time of working with clients one on one, probably training, I don't know, around 200 clients throughout the years, like people often said like I'm doing the work, and like they really knew they weren't, right? Like they would come to me as a coach and they would say like, Matt, I'm doing the work. I don't know why I'm losing weight. I'm eating the meals. And it's like, are you really? Like, are you really? So if you're somebody who the message of this episode, like why you aren't losing weight, resonated with you, and you got on here thinking we were about to give you some shortcut, cheat code, something like that, so you could try to cheat getting out of the work to lose weight, like that's not the case. And if you're trying to look in the mirror and cheat yourself, like you're only cheating the person you're trying to become, the man you're trying to become. So I just want to preface this entire thing with that, because I feel like that is like the number one reason people don't lose weight is like they say they're doing the work, they say they're eating the meals, and then we actually start tracking. It's like one workout, two workouts, maybe a couple walks, which great. And then the meals are, I don't know, 5 clean meals in the week. The rest is just garbage. So like be real with yourself, be truthful with yourself, look in the mirror. And if you are actually doing the work and you're still kind of looking for some guidance, then you're in the right spot. And that's what we're going to dive into today. But I just wanted to preface with all that because I dealt with that so much. I'm sure you have as well in coaching.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like anything, if you want results, you have to put in the work. I mean, nothing's gonna come easy. A lot of times when you're overweight, it's because of a lifetime of habits that you've done poorly. So it's not gonna be a quick fix. A lot of people want fastest way to lose weight, easiest way to lose weight. It's not like that. It's got to require hard work and time.
Yeah, and think about like this truly is so much bigger than having a physical presence that you're proud of. Like, is that awesome? Yes, I love looking in the mirror and being confident in who I am and who I can see. Like, I love it. But when you're trying to cheat the work, you're just cheating yourself. Like you're cheating these attributes you can develop as a man to become that man that God placed you here to be. Like He placed you here to be a man of discipline, to be a man of self control. So if you're trying to cheat the work, like you're cheating yourself out of something that's so much bigger than just how you look in the mirror. But let's dive in. Let's get tangible. So first thing we're going to talk about is like training. Like from the lens of training, like what is the most common things you see that people do or have misconceptions around this training that's leading them to not lose the weight that they think they should be losing?
Yeah, I think first off is when you go into the gym, I think it's good that you're at the gym. That's first step is stepping in the gym. But a lot of people go to the gym and they think, I'm in the gym, I did my job. And sometimes they don't go as hard in the gym. They're not lifting intensely. They're not, putting in a bunch of effort. They think just because they're there, they're going to see results. So
Yeah.
you have to work with intensity. You have to go hard. You have to push yourself. And if you don't know how to push yourself, hire a coach, hire a trainer, make sure someone, even a friend, a lifting buddy, lifting partner, gym bro, whatever, have somebody there to push yourself or to help push you so you are actually putting in effort and work.
Yeah, I'm into that. And whoever said like showing up is half the battle, like no shot. Like who you battling? If you're battling me, you better be doing way more than just showing up.
Exactly.
Like not that life's a competition out here, but it's like I'm often comparing myself to the best version of me, and it's like if showing up is 50% of the work, like who is that guy? Like that's. So I love what you're saying. You're saying like showing up is not enough. Like get in there and like let's get to work. Let's actually train with some intensity.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of training though, so number one, like actually pushing yourself, training with intensity. Pushing the weight, pushing the reps, pushing yourself, getting a training partner. Maybe find some accountability within Elevate. Reach out, connect with guys. Hire Jake if you need to provide you that plan and to hold you accountable to a level of intensity. I know with me, like working with him one on one, I got to send him videos and stuff I'm doing. He's checking in. He can see the weights of what I'm doing. So if I start slacking, he sees, oh, you lifted 100 pounds less than you inputted last week. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm definitely getting a text about that. So, like, you need some accountability within this. I've always had training partners. I've always had coaches. If I didn't have training partners, like I've always had some sort of outside accountability to hold me to that level of intensity because it's tough. Like when you have had a long day, energy's down, you're taxed, like going to the gym and then pushing yourself through a workout, like it is a hard thing to do. No matter how many times you do it, it's still a daunting task. So you need some sort of outside, force pushing you. Like there's no reason not to lean on that. But what would you say is kind of the next thing in the lens of training?
I would say the big thing with weight loss is, cardio focused people is,
Mm,
I want to lose weight, so I'm going to run a bunch, or I'm going to, get on the stair climber and just do, a bunch of that, or, ride my bike. And that's great. You're burning calories. That's great. But if you want a long-term effect, you need to be lifting weight. You need to be resistance training.
mm,
I mean, the as you lift, you're putting stress on your muscles. Your muscles are gonna grow stronger and grow bigger. The more muscle mass you have on your body, the higher your metabolism is gonna be, which means the more calories you're gonna burn, which means the more fat you're going to burn. So it's this long distance game of the stronger you're gonna be, the more muscle, the easier it's gonna be for you to lose fat.
yeah. I mean, there's times for me like I'll wake up down 2, 3, 4 pounds, but just in my sleep, which is crazy to say, but just that resting metabolic heart rate where the amount of muscle mass I have, I'm just constantly, it's working OT, it's working when I'm sleeping to burn fat. Like that's such a cheat code. And I don't do any, hardly any cardio. I'm ramping it up now as I'm prepping for this marathon I got coming up, but I do hardly any cardio at all. So something to definitely take away. But why like I guess why is that? Why do people think that? Like that if I go do cardio, that's how I'm going to lose weight. Like why is that the notion?
I think it's that, once again, that quick, easy, fat loss. It is, you're going to be burning more calories as you're doing cardio because your heart rate's working, it's higher, and you're
Yeah,
just burning more calories at that certain point. So not many people think, when you're lifting weight, you're burning calories. You're not as, it's not as, um, you're not going to burn as many calories lifting, but like I said, in the long term, also, you know, like 24 to 48 hours after your lift, your muscles are still working. They're still burning calories. So
mm,
after you lift, 2 days later, you're still burning calories from that lift. While when you're
yeah,
doing cardio, you're only burning calories at that certain point. If you go for a 20-minute run, you're only burning calories for that 20-minute period.
mm,
So I think it's just one of those quick things like, oh, I'm going to burn more calories by, doing cardio. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not even going to worry about lifting.
yeah. And I think like everyone wants to say like the best training plan is the most sustainable training plan, which I agree. Like if you can stick to the plan, great. Ride with it, stick with it, whatever style of training it is. But there's nothing more sustainable than having muscle mass on your body that's going to work while you're sleeping to burn fat. Like that's as sustainable as it gets. And that's why you can see guys who, will take 2 weeks off of the gym and just stay absolutely shredded and jacked because they've just built such a foundation of muscle mass. Like it just doesn't go away. It's so much harder to tear it down and take it away when you have that foundational layer of muscle that's built. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's
I mean,
that's definitely a common one.
yeah, I mean, look at you, for example. You were deadlifting 600 pounds, over a year ago. You took a break from deadlifts, came back, and, you're lifting over 500 again without even touching the deadlift bar in, close to a year. It's because you built that foundation. You're just able to get back into it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I almost had six again, dude.
I
I was
know.
close. Maybe I'll come back for it this year. We'll see. Whew. House of
Maybe
Steel
700.
2024. 700, man. That's a life commitment. I don't know if I'm ready to do that. So I don't even know if I want that, honestly. Um, But staying on training, is there anything else? So first one we got is like intensity. Like you got to go in, you got to push yourself to grow. Like you just have to pushing the weight, pushing the reps, maybe shorten rest periods, whatever that looks like, up in that intensity. Second one we got is like cardio is not the best way to burn fat. You're temporarily burning those calories, but you're not building muscle that's going to burn calories long term. Would you add a third thing, or those kind of the two
I
big
think,
ones?
I think those are the two big ones. I think just and another tip with that is, you know, a lot of distractions can happen in the gym, to makes it, which makes you, not go as hard. Things like your phone. It's easy to look at your phone in between sets and just kind of slack off. So
Yeah.
I've started, like, I have my phone with me to listen to music, but I stopped looking at it between sets. A lot of people I'll see, they're on the leg press and they're typing a text while they're working, like while they're doing their set. It's like, are you really doing anything? Not
Yeah.
really. So another thing is just it's okay to be friendly and, talk to people, but it's easy to get going in a conversation for 10 to 15 minutes. That's 10 to 15 minutes you could have been working. So yeah, make
Yeah.
friends, be nice, branch out, make connections, whatever. But when you're in the gym, make sure you're working, be there to better yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that goes back to my original point in the very beginning, opening this thing. Like, you say you're doing the work, but are you? Like, if you're that guy in the leg press sitting there texting in the middle of the rep, like that rep can't be that hard. You can't be
Exactly.
pushing yourself. But something I want to get across for guys who are like, okay, I'm ready to get in the gym and I'm ready to push myself. How to up intensity. So for me, I've got this formula of intensity. So I think there's different levers you can pull to up intensity. I think there's weight, I think there's speed, and then I think there's time. So the amount of weight you lift. So let's say Jake and I can both lift 200 pounds, right? How do we know who's stronger? Well, who moves it faster? So then speed comes into it. So then let's look at, okay, we can move 200 pounds 20 times. How do we know who's stronger? Well, let's say we move it at the same speed. Well, then who can do it in less time? Like, who can do it? Maybe he has to take a rest period at rep 10 and stop. And then I just do all 20 reps unbroken of whatever it is. Well, my intensity is going to be higher during my training. So, this is kind of getting into the weeds of programming a little bit, but but I think it's good for people to just understand, like, how do I up that intensity? Maybe it's something where I get on the leg press, I can't put more plates on. Well, do more reps. Like, do more reps. Well, I don't want to do more reps. Okay, do it faster. Well, then it's like, okay, I'm doing it fast. Well, then it's like, okay, don't take 5 minutes in between. Take 30 seconds. Now can you do 4 sets of 5 with 30 seconds in between at that weight? Like, there's all these different variables you can use to up the intensity of your workout without it always having to be, the most weight on the bar possible with a 1 rep max. And I feel like guys, like, they get into this thought of like, I'm not pushing myself unless I'm like killing myself, unless I'm going super heavy. And it's like, the average person, you probably don't need to be 1 rep maxing unless your goals are to push those numbers and get stronger. Like, you probably don't need to be anywhere near a 1 rep max in your training. I'm not anywhere near a 1 rep max in my training. I'm trying to dunk trying to be more athletic, got a marathon coming up. Like, I don't need to be pushing a 1 rep max to get stronger or to build muscle. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but I just wanted to kind of talk about those different variables that guys can use to up that intensity.
Yeah, I mean, it all falls into that intensity is pushing yourself, putting in effort. I think a lot of people get stuck at certain numbers. Like, let's say you're doing a row and you're at 100 pounds. 6 weeks later, you're still at 100 pounds. You're doing the same reps, the same sets, 3 by 10, 100 pounds, and you've probably gotten stronger over the 6 weeks, but you don't know because you're not pushing yourself. You're not increasing the weight, the reps, the sets. You can try decreasing like the rest times, like you said. There are so many different things that you can add in to make the exercise harder and to push yourself. So I think a lot of people get comfortable at their, 3 by 10 or whatever they're doing, and they don't, try to add any more reps, or they don't add a five onto the bar or the weight stack, whatever, and they stay at where they're at.
Yeah. And that's something like if you're limited on time, there's days where you're going to go into the gym and you got 30 minutes versus the hour and a half that you normally do, or, like that's how you increase intensity. Like if you have 30 minutes, you're probably not going to be able to load up bars with a bunch of plates or the leg press with a bunch of plates or take the time to warm up to get to heavy weights and everything. So it's like, okay, things just have to move faster. 30 seconds rest, no rest. Like do some supersets and different stuff like that. We're just moving through without resting. Like that's how you can really push yourself up the intensity, and you'll get your heart rate up a bunch to, I guess, burn calories within the workout. But I guess for guys who are, let's say, new to the gym and maybe they've been on a plan for a little bit, like what is the easiest way to up intensity? Like what's the most common way you recommend, like, to push yourself in the gym? Like I know we threw out a bunch of different ways: make it heavier, do more reps, shorten the rest, like move it faster. But what is like the most common one you'd recommend for a guy to like start with?
So yeah, I always recommend increasing volume. So volume is sets times weight times reps. So increase one of those. Normally, I recommend reps. It's easier to
Okay.
try to go for one extra rep than add 5 or 10 pounds and try to hit the same amount of reps. So I usually recommend try to increase reps first. I like playing with the rep range. Like let's say you're doing 8 to 12 reps, you're able to get 8, 9 reps on those first couple sets. 2 weeks from now, maybe you're able to get 10, 11, and then another week you're able to get 12. Cool, you hit the top of that rep range. Now start increasing weight, and you're not going to probably be able to hit 12 reps again, but you've increased weight. So drop the reps again, maybe 8 to 10, until you get back up to 12 reps again. Then you increase the weight again.
Mm. So increase in reps, and then once your reps kind of start, topping out, you start getting into 12 to 15. That's when we try to jump the weight, drop back down to maybe a 6 to 8, and then just do that again. Just keep that cycle kind of going.
Exactly.
Love it. So talk to us about. I want to get the point of like RPE and I guess reps in reserve. People don't know what this means, and I think they need to know what this means to be able to train with a level of intensity. So, how do you go about these two different terms? How do you go about it with your clients? And then what does it mean? Like, walk the people through what it means.
Yeah, so RPE, rate of perceived exertion, I believe that's what it stands for. So
Yeah.
it's a scale. I've seen a scale like 6 to 20, and then I usually just use 1 to 10. It's easiest, scale from 1 to 10. Um, so 10 being the absolute hardest. So you're going through your set, you go till failure. You have 0 reps in reserve. That's what a 10 is. 8 is usually you have a couple reps left. A 5 is kind of just casually going through. You still have a bunch of reps in reserve. But I think you mentioned earlier, a lot of people are either at a 10 or they're at a 5. They're going till failure, and they're pushing themselves every single set, or they're
Yeah.
just not going hard enough and they're just casually going through it. So I think as you're first starting out, I don't think there's any reason to go till failure. Get the routine, get the work and keep adding reps and weight. And then as you gain more experience, yeah, push yourself, go a little till failure. But that's all where programming comes in. Is I think for exercise like compound movements, like, like a bench or a squat. There's days where you're going, till failure. You're pushing yourself. You're trying to move the most weight to the most reps. And then there's days where, like you also said, is speed. You're working on speed. There's no reason to go till failure if you're working on speed. You're just working on moving the bar fast. So yeah, that reps in reserve, or RIR, RPE. It's just it's based on like a 1 to 10 scale, and it's your intensity really. So if it's 10, it's max intensity. You're going till failure. If it's something like an 8, leave a few reps in the tank.
Still got me?
Got you now.
Cool. I think it should be good. So I mean, RIR, reps in reserve, literally just how many reps you have left. RPE, basically just like on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard was it? Like,
Yeah.
it's the easiest way to put it. So yeah, it's just a way to kind of measure intensity. So for guys who are new to the gym, like these are pick one of the two. They're basically the same thing, really, but pick one, and that's how you can kind of measure. Like, ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, like how hard was it? If it was a 5, go up, push yourself up. Like it's time to get up. Like you should be in the around the 8 range. Like basically at all times with any movement you're doing, you should be pushing yourself to around the 8 range. Not always going to the 10, especially if you're new to the gym. Float around 7, 8 range. Like find a rhythm, momentum, and then when you're ready to start pushing to tens, get a coach. Like you should not be pushing yourself and maxing out and doing these things without a coach or without some sort of education. Like that's where you just start risking injury, and it's not worth it. Like you got to ask yourself, like, what is my goal here? Like, is my goal to say I bench 225, and then ended up having shoulder problems because I didn't hire a coach to know how to properly do it? Like that's not my goal. My goal is longevity, right? Sustainable program that's going to make me look good and feel good, over a long period of time. So like ask yourself those questions. But I just think that that's a good metric for people to be able to understand and measure their intensity on. That's why I wanted to get that across. But let's jump to nutrition. So from a nutritional standpoint, like Jake, I'm not losing weight. What am I doing wrong, bro?
Yeah. So first, I'd ask you, what are you eating and how much of it? So it all comes it comes down to calories. Um, so to be losing weight, you have to be at a caloric deficit, which just means everybody has their own maintenance calories. I mean, you can come up with this number, however different. I like using a calorie calculator. Just go on the internet, type in calorie calculator. It'll ask you some questions. You enter it, it'll spit out a number. So that's your maintenance number. To be in a deficit means to be below that number. So you are eating calories or less calories, or sorry, you are burning more calories than you are eating. That's what a deficit is. So that number has to be lower in order to be losing weight. Just like if you were to gain weight, that number needs to be higher to be able to put on some muscle. So that is kind of the quantity of it, and then also the quality. You have to be eating real food, good food, food that God made. If God made it, put it in your mouth. If He didn't, try to avoid it. These things like processed food, full of sugar, like Pop Tarts and stuff like that, donuts, those are things to avoid, obviously. It all comes down to moderation. I know a lot of people like to speak on 80/20. 80% of the time, eat good food, 20%, eat whatever you want, have a time, be out with some friends, maybe have a beer, pizza, enjoy life. You don't have to be super strict and eat well 100% of the time to see results. It just, most of the time, eat good food, 20%, have fun.
Yeah. So number one reason he's saying you're not losing weight is probably because you're simply not tracking the calories. Like he's saying, like losing weight is simply a math equation. Gaining weight is simply a math equation. Like you eat more calories than you burn to gain weight. You eat less calories uh, than you burn to lose weight. Like that is the equation, and the numbers do not lie. Now, are these calorie calculators like to a T? No, because we're all different, right? Our bodies are all different. No calorie calculator, when you input a certain amount of questions, is going to be able to spit you out how many calories you burn. It doesn't, know your body. But it's going to get you pretty close, and you're going to be able to have a number that's pretty solid, pretty close. That's been used for millions and millions of people to gain or lose weight based on these calorie calculators. So for somebody sitting there listening, like, it doesn't know me, like, you are not the anomaly. Trillions of people have lost weight based on these calorie calculators. So go punch in your numbers, go punch in your stuff, get your number. And that may seem like it's going to suck tracking calories. Like, it may seem like it's going to suck, but if you do it for a month, 2 months, and actually like go hard on it, you won't have to do it for life. Like, that's how easy it'll be if you just can actually go in on the numbers for, like, legitimately for a month to 2 months. You'll be set for life. You'll have a great understanding of what foods produce. Like, Tawny all the time when we're eating, like, how much protein you think is in this meal, and I'm like, like, we haven't weighed anything, we don't know, and I'm spitting out a number that's pretty close, just because I've looked for, or I mean, I did for years, but not everyone has to do that for years to be able to do that. So that may sound like it's going to suck, but do it for 2 months, 8 weeks, and you're set basically for life. And then what you're saying, like, not all calories are the same, right? Like, the donuts calories and the steak calories, those carry a lot of different nutrients. Like,
Exactly.
donuts got none, the steak's got a lot. So it's like, how are you going to build your body? Like, think about that. Like, calorie is simply a measure of energy. That's all it is. Like, I think me understanding that really helped me. Like, calories are not like bad or necessarily good. It's literally a unit of measurement. It's like gallon or liter or inch. Like, it's a unit of measurement. That's it. It's just measuring the amount of energy that your food is supposedly giving you. Like, that
Yeah.
is it. So I feel
That
like we
that
get
energy
so.
is I was just
Go
gonna say that
ahead.
energy is fuel. People think calories are so bad, like, oh, I don't want to eat those calories. It's fuel. You're feeding your body. You're helping energize yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, not all calories are the same. Does weight loss and weight gain come down to calorie number? Yes, but not all calories are the same, which we're going to talk more about carrying on. But the biggest point I want to get across with this, with the quality over quantity, because that's my nutrition approach. I know it's your nutrition approach. I eat till I'm full. I eat as much as I want. Is quality. Yeah, I train hard and I burn a ton of calories. But like, you're never gonna find yourself overeating on salmon. No one's ever sat there and smacked way too much salmon, way too much steak, way too much chicken. Like, you can't gorge out on this stuff because it has nutrients that tell your body, hey, we're good, we're full. Like, we got everything we need. Donuts, they don't have that. So you can sit there and go for days.
Sorry, froze up. Did you ask me a question?
No, no, no. I was just saying, like, just how we can't overeat on foods that satiate us.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I always preach quality over quantity, is because if you focus on the quality of the food, the quantity will almost naturally take care of itself. Like you said, if you're eating good food, God-given food like steak, potatoes, this real food, you're gonna feel full. You're not gonna want to overeat. If you're eating donuts, Pop Tarts for breakfast, you're gonna be more likely to crave those sweets and just keep on eating more and more through the course of the day. So the real food, eating the quality of the food almost takes care of the quantity itself.
Yeah. So that's the biggest lever to look at is the quality, I think. Like, still get your numbers, still check out that calorie number, but you're gonna realize, like, okay, I need to get 3,000 calories in, and I want to get the best nutrients possible. Like, that should be your thought process. How do I do it? Steak, salmon, chicken, like all these different ground meats, like things like that. Like, that's how you're gonna fill up those 3,000 calories. So once you start looking at, like, okay, this is the number I need to eat, you'll start looking at how can I comprise this of quality, and then you'll start being absolutely jacked. Like, there's just no doubt about
Yeah, yeah.
it.
I've started looking at food as not just am I going to eat this because it tastes good, but how will this treat my body? Like before a workout, I'm looking at these foods like, oh, I'm going to eat a bunch of carbs, so I have the fuel for my workout. I need
Yeah,
those carbs for my body to perform better during my workout. when I'm done, I'm looking at these foods like, oh, I need to eat some protein, a very high protein dominant meal to help repair my muscles that I just tore down. So look at food as a way to help your body, not just something you're eating for pleasure.
So let's talk about carbs because I feel like this is a buzzword. People think it's making them fat. They want to go to keto. I feel like everyone who's trying to get on the fat loss journey thinks they need to avoid carbs, but you're over here saying I eat a ton of carbs. I personally eat a ton of carbs. So like, what's the deal with carbs? Why do people think it's a problem? Like, what? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so carbs are your main energy source. It's what fuels you during the day. That's what carbs are, and I mean they're great for brain health. Carbs have so many benefits in your day to day life, but I think the biggest thing with carbs as it's become the enemy is because carbohydrates is a sugar, and people think sugar is bad. The right kind of sugar is okay. Like if you eat fruit, rice, whatever, these carbs, it's natural carbs, natural sugars. These are good. The things you want to avoid are the processed carbs or the added sugars. The donuts, the cookies, the brownies, things with all this added sugar that's, they're high in carbs, but it's not the right kind of carb.
Yeah. Like, I mean, for me, for example, like yesterday, dude, before the gym, I a bowl of fruit, drizzled maple syrup over top with dark chocolate in there, like organic, all healthy stuff, all good sugars, crap ton of sugars, and carbs, but it's like it's all healthy, it's all good. My body's gonna be able to quickly digest it to use it as energy, so I can go get a hard training session in, like, and that's the reality of it. So rather than it destroying my metabolism, my gut, the processed sugars and stuff, my body just takes it in really fast, absorbs it, and I go feel really good during a workout. And nothing, there's no harm from it. So,
For
like
sure.
he's saying, focus on the God given sugars. God didn't give us these fruits because they're gonna make us fat. Like, come on.
So what's your favorite like pre-workout snack? Is it that the fruit with some syrup?
Well, the only reason I did that was I usually take those three things and put them on top of Greek yogurt. But I was out of Greek yogurt, so I was like, all right, I'll just do the toppings. Screw it. This is what the Greek is just a vehicle for my toppings. Obviously, some probiotics, some protein, but I was like, all right, I'll just get the sugars in anyways. But yeah, I go to syrup, fruit, dark chocolate, and honey a lot. And I usually use Greek yogurt as the vehicle, or I will literally just basically take all that stuff, put it in the blender, and just blend it up, and then drink it. Even quicker digest. So those are my two go tos. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, so when I have the time and I think about it and prepare before my workout, which doesn't often happen, I'll eat like a bowl of Greek yogurt with some fruit. I'll put in some honey and syrup in it, and some like you said, chocolate, some dark chocolate chips. Um, but if I'm like in a pinch and I have to hurry up and get to the gym, I'll eat something quick, fast digesting, something like a banana, like a glass full of apple cider orange juice, something like that, and just like a mouthful of honey. Just something quick to the body, fast digesting, something that's not gonna sit super heavy on me.
Cool. So we've been talking about fast digesting, like, and I know we've mentioned honey, syrups, and we're not talking about your, log cabin high fructose corn syrup. Like, we're talking about like good syrups, like organic, maple syrup, like just syrup. Like the less
Yeah,
ingredients, the better.
exactly. No other
Like,
ingredient but syrup.
yeah, literally just syrup. So like that's what I want to make sure we're getting that across. It's still quality stuff. Like, um, but talk to us about the difference between like we're talking about fast digesting carbs, sugars. I'm hearing a lot of fruits, different stuff. What's what is that about, and then what's kind of the opposite? What's the other side of that?
Yeah, so the fast digesting are they're simple carbs. There's simple and there's complex. The complex are the more slow digesting. To be honest, I don't. I mean, fruit technically is not a simple carb, but I eat it. I mean, it's quick for me. It doesn't sit heavy on me. Something like juice, I think that's more of a simple carb, so that's quick, fast digesting. Things like syrup and honey, those are simple, fast digesting. And then you got more of your complex that take a little longer to digest. They sit a little heavier. Things like oats, like like oatmeal or rice, potatoes, pasta. Those are more of the complex carbs.
So what's kind of the timing of this? Because we're talking about pre workout, we're talking about the simple stuff, but you're saying like you're eating steak and potatoes. Like talk about the carb timing.
Yeah, so if it's something simple and light on the body, I can eat something 15 minutes beforehand, 30 minutes beforehand. If it's gonna sit a little heavier, I like to leave at least an hour. Like somewhere around 2 hours would be ideal, just to let the body fully digest.
Yeah. How for you, like how do you go about structuring your meals in the day? Like what is your meal structure, I suppose?
Yeah, so it changes. Right now, I've started fasting in the morning, just because I can get more work done. I think we've talked about in the past. Eating takes time out of the day, so I can get more work done if I skip breakfast. Read the Bible, get some work done, whatever I have to do. Then I'll eat my first meal around 12 or 1 lunch. Try to hit my protein. High protein meal with carbs as well, because normally my workout follows my lunch, and then later I'll eat dinner, somewhere 6 to 8, depending on what my evening looks like. Once again, high protein, try to get as much protein as I can. Um, and then in an hour or so, if I'm still hungry, or I just need to up my protein or get some more calories in, then I'll blend up a protein shake or a smoothie or something like that.
He's definitely not bulking with a meal schedule like that. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
that's a cutting schedule right there.
Yeah.
That's a life schedule.
Bulking is a full time job. It's hard to get work done when you're bulking.
Yeah, bro. For me, I'm a 2 meal a day kind of guy, but first meal is usually around 10, 11. And then I eat the snack, that Greek yogurt, that pre workout vehicle, either that or the smoothie every single day. Right before 1, go to the gym at 1 every day. And then get back and I eat dinner around 5, 6 in that range. I end up going to bed like 8. So
Oh man.
for everybody listening. So, dude, I sleep a lot. I sleep a lot. I'll sleep 8 to 6 every night, basically, like 10 hours of sleep. But it's like just with this training, I'm cool with it. Like I'm training hard. Life is stressful, taxing, like building a business, everything. So I'm cool with getting that sleep, which I know we're about to get into recovery. So that's coming soon. But you're saying like you're talking about fasting within this, like talk to us about that. Like that's a buzzword definitely in the weight loss world. Like how does that play a role into you? What even is it? What is fasting? Like I feel like
Yeah.
people don't even know.
So fasting, it's just going a certain amount of time or period without eating, whether it's a water fast or whatever. Um, and this fasting, like you said, it's a buzzword. So many think fasting, oh, I'm going to lose weight if I fast. It's going to help me burn more calories or burn, this fat off my body. That's not what fasting is. It's closing your window of eating. So if you eat dinner at 6 o'clock and you fast until the next day, like let's say you eat breakfast or lunch around 11 o'clock, that's 6 p.m. to 11 o'clock. You're fasting, which means your window of eating is 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., which is 7 hours. So it's a smaller window compared to waking up, eating at 7 a.m., and then eating your last, snacking throughout the day, eating lunch, and then eating dinner at 6 or 7 p.m. So you're just closing or narrowing the window of the amount of time you're eating, which results in eating less calories. That's why fasting is recommended for people who are trying to lose weight. It's because it's a lot harder to eat or overeat when you narrow that window of time that you do eat.
Yeah. And especially, like 11 to 6, like you're saying, like that's a 7 hour window. So think about when you're eating quality foods and actually satiating your body. It's going to be really hard to get hungry in a 7 hour gap if you plug like two meals in there. Like it's going to be hard. But I think that this can really cause some unhealthy eating habits for people because what will happen, and I've experienced this with clients trying to lose weight in the past, like they'll say, okay, I'm going to fast. We'll talk about this eating window. We'll shorten it up, eat less calories, and it'll be okay, 11 to 6. Well, then their kryptonite is this habit of snacking at night. So then they just gorge out, around 9, 10, right before bed. Like, and then they're just smacking all these calories because they were so hungry because they're used to eating. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to get across is and what your answer on is if somebody is like trying to lose weight, they've been eating a lot throughout the day. How do they go about shortening this eating window without, gorging out around the eating times and falling off the cliff of discipline and feeling terrible about themselves? Like, do they scale it back? Or do they just open that window a little more, like try to fast less, or maybe they just go all in? I don't know. What's your take?
Yeah, I think like we covered earlier, if you're eating the right food, it's going to fill you up. You're going to feel full after these meals, so it's going to be a lot easier to not eat. But it's one of those things to where if you're at a caloric deficit, you're at times you're going to be hungry. It's just natural, you know. You're going to be uncomfortable. And it's when you hit those times of it's just self-restraint, holding yourself accountable and not overeating, not eating the things you shouldn't be eating. What your goal is to lose weight, right? So why are you stuffing your face every time you feel hungry? Find
Yeah,
something else to occupy your time. Read the Bible, get some work done, maybe turn on the TV for 30 minutes, go for a walk. Do something that's going to take your mind off of the food.
yeah. You're literally just bored oftentimes too. Like we did the 96-hour fast inside of Elevate, and my experience, like number one, I would go turn to eating when I was feeling discontentment with my life, when work wasn't going as good as I wanted. Maybe relationships going not as good as I wanted. I'm ready to turn to food as a band aid, as some dopamine. Even if I am turning to quality foods, still tastes good, still provides me that dopamine. Like or there's just empty time in my schedule. I'm kind of just sitting around waiting to go to the gym. About 15 minutes out, whatever. It's like, all right, snacks. Dinner's almost ready. Tortilla chips coming out. Like, it's like just snacks. Like you can just be bored at times. So like, I really want to get that across. Like the self discipline and self control, like of the man of God you were placed here to be, is not this gluttonous guy that just eats whenever he feels like eating. Like, where is the discipline in that? And if I'm not turning this into a faith episode, but go read or listen to Peyton and I's 96-hour fast episode in Raw Faith. Like we talk about biblical fasting and go through examples in the Bible of how to build that discipline and how like much of a command fasting is in the Bible. So like if you are trying to build this discipline and this control and become, a man of God with your body, like fasting is a great way to do it to where you have to sit with that hunger. You have to be, displeased. And it's not like you're gonna, wither away. Like I went 4 days without eating. Chris Hemsworth, he just went 7 days without eating. Like people have gone longer. So it's like you're good. Like your body's good. You're just mentally or you're covering something up. So sit with those thoughts. Maybe journal about them. Dive a little deeper into why you're trying to gorge out right now. What you're trying to cover up.
Yeah. I mean, the other day I had a client come to me. He's trying to lose weight and he's struggling with the eating because he feels hungry. He said, "What should I do when I feel hungry at night?" Don't eat. Find something else to do. Like
Yeah,
it sounds that people make it so much more complex. You're going to
yeah,
be uncomfortable. Like we addressed at the very beginning, this is a hard thing to do. Losing weight is extremely hard for some people to do. It's not going to come easy.
yeah. And the challenge that I would also propose to you is you're probably not actually hungry. Like if you got your protein goals in, and I want to talk about macros before we come off of nutrition. Uh, but if you've hit your numbers, your protein that you're trying to hit, your calories that you're trying to hit, your body's good. you've probably just snacked at 9 o'clock every single night for the last 2 years. And it's just become habit for your body to crave some sort of sweet at that time. You're not actually hungry. You've just made it a habitual thing. So, like, you need to be able to sit with those times and learn what hunger cues actually are versus what has just become habit in my day. And that's something I realized with the 96-hour fast. Like, hunger had spiked a lot more when it was 10 a.m. when I normally eat breakfast, when it was 6 p.m. when I normally eat dinner. Like, I'm way hungrier at those times. It's like, am I actually, or is it just the time I normally eat? It's like, that's exactly what it is. So, something to challenge people there to think about. But before we go on, two things I want to cover real quick. Going on to recovery. Number one, we've talked about fasting. We've kind of talked about cutting that eating window off at, say, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., right after dinner. And a great way to do that is go brush your teeth. You hate eating after you've already brushed your teeth. But talk to me about like eating before bed. I know this is a big thing. Like, people say you shouldn't eat before bed. It's bad for you. You'll gain weight doing that. Like, well, what is that all about? What's the truth there?
Yeah, so I think there's this misconception about if I eat, too close to bed that it's going to make me fat. And that's not true. What you're doing is, once again, is you're just adding in more calories at the end of the day. Like, maybe you hit your calorie number for dinner. What
Yeah.
your late night snack, you're just increasing your calories. That's what you're doing. And a lot of times it affects your sleep too. Like, if you eat, 30 minutes before bed, it takes your body a couple of hours to fully digest that food. So, like, let's say I eat at 8:30, I go to bed at 9. Those first couple of hours where I'm sleeping, which, we'll talk about recovery and rest later, but it affects your sleep quality. So maybe instead of a good 8 hours of sleep, you may only be getting 6 quality hours of sleep because your body was working digesting that food when it should have been resting.
Yeah. That's such a big thing to think about. It's our gut. Like, not to get too deep into this stuff, but we could go so far into the gut health and all that, metabolism and all this. But I'm sure we will, in the future. But right now, we're trying to stay tangible for the person who's just trying to lose weight. Um, but your gut is similar to like your body. It has its own sleep cycle that it needs to go through, and when it's up at night working, you are not resting the best it you can, and it's not resting how it needs to be. So yeah, give it some time. I like to do 90 minutes. I like to cut my food off 90 minutes before going to bed. That's when I cut my blue light off too, which whole another conversation about being optimized. But try to give yourself 90 minutes, 2 hours before going into bed. And if you do kind of get that hunger, maybe it's hunger, maybe it's not before bed, the ways I combat that: carbonated drinks. Get some carbonated drinks, or get some water with some salt. Like, get some electrolytes in that actually contains something for your body to take in, not just gorging out on snacks and Oreos and all this other garbage. And I mean, my answer to that is literally stop buying it. Like, if you're stop shopping like you're a teenager, 12-year-old kid, like you're a grown man. If you're listening to this, like, you shouldn't have that stuff in your house at all. And at least until you build the discipline. Like, for me, I got 6 pints of ice cream in my freezer right now. I will say it's the highest quality ice cream you can get, but but I got the discipline. I mean, we're running 75 hard. I'm on like day 30 something, so it's like I literally have like 30 more days where I can't even touch it. But I know it's not a problem for me. So until you've at least built the discipline where you know you're good, you won't touch it. Just stop buying this stuff. Like, stop buying it altogether.
Yeah. Just opening up the freezer, looking at the ice cream every time. It's enticing,
Yeah,
but
it's really not, dude. Like, these challenges, they become so trivial. Like, I just get so locked into like this is inevitable. It's getting done. Like, so it becomes easy for me. But um, last thing let's talk about is like let's kind of get into the weeds. So we've talked about calories as a whole. They need to go find the calorie calculator. They need to figure out the deficit that they want to be in. Let's start there. What do you recommend? So say I go to this calorie calculator right now. I put in all my info. It spits out 3K calories. 3,000 calories is my maintenance level. If I eat 3,000 calories, I will not go up in weight and I will not lose weight. That's what maintenance means. I'm going to maintain my weight. What do you recommend? I'm trying to lose weight. It spits out 3K. Do I drop it to 1,000 calories a day? Do I like where do I go from there?
Yeah. So I recommend for starters, 250 to 300 calories at a deficit. So, right around 2,700. And if you start doing that consistently, for a couple weeks and you're still not seeing, any poundage loss, you're not losing a pound or two, then bump it down another 200, try 2,500. And your body will adjust every time you're at a deficit or a surplus. Your maintenance kind of changes. It messes with your metabolism, your hormones, all that. So by being at a deficit, like what we said, that's how you lose weight. If you're not losing weight, drop it even more. And
Yeah.
I think oftentimes people will be at too big of a deficit. So if you're supposed to be at 3,000, maybe you're at 1,500 and you're eating like, 30 grams of protein a day. So you're not feeding your muscles, they're not recovering. You're not eating, enough food to energize yourself during the workouts. And like I said, it's going to mess with your metabolism. So now your new maintenance may be at 1,500 because you've been sitting at that number for 3 months straight. So no wonder you're not losing weight because you're kind of sitting at that maintenance number. So what I usually recommend is increasing that number back up to, close to 2,500, 3,000 for about a week. I usually recommend 7 to 10 days. Increase that number to get your metabolism going again, get it firing, reset your maintenance, and then try dropping it back down again to like 2,500 or so. But for starters, stick to about 300 calories. If you don't see anything, drop it another 100 or 200.
Yeah. And you will like see results. Like you will. If you truly have found your maintenance and you are actually tracking, like you will start losing weight. There's no doubt about it. But something I want to get across too is like this is really where the quality comes in too, because if you're in 1,000 calorie deficit, if your maintenance is 3,000 and you're eating 2,000, but you're eating 2,000 of donuts and Oreos, you're not going to lose weight. Like your body cannot. It's just going to shut down on you. Like it's going to stop working. Like it's not going to stop working altogether, but it's not going to be burning healthy fats and fueling those muscles that you can increase your metabolism to burn even more fat. Like you're just going to be hurting yourself. So, like you see these bodybuilders at the top of the game, they like, just fit their macros with the most garbage stuff at times. And it's like, they may be jacked, but they're on all kinds of drugs that their body is being fueled by. So it's like, that's not you. That is not you. You need to be comprising these numbers of quality, whatever it is. The makeup needs to be quality. That will get your hormones in check. That'll get your metabolism in check. That'll get your gut health in check. Your body will start operating on a whole nother level in terms of burning fat. So make sure that number is being comprised of quality, and you'll be good. But cool. So I find my maintenance. I go 250, 300 below, comprise it of quality, push myself in the gym. I'll start losing weight, no problem. So let's talk about the other. So for anyone wondering what macros, when I say that, it's like macronutrients. It's like the bigger macros. So it's or carbs, fats, proteins, things like that. Calories, I guess, would fall under that. I don't know if it would or not, but um, like those are the things you need to be looking at. Those are the big needle movers. So for guys that are trying to lose weight, should they worry about the carbs? Should they worry about the fats? Should they worry about the protein? If so, what do those numbers kind of look like?
Yeah. So I think all three of the macros, like you said, carbs, fats, proteins, I mean, they're all important. But I would say the one thing you need to focus on the most is the protein number. Like I said, protein is going to help, build your muscles after you've hit a workout. Protein is also very satiable, satious. I don't know if that's a word. It's filling. It's filling, right? So it makes you feel full. So if you eat a high protein breakfast, you're gonna be feeling full. You're not gonna want to eat those snacks. If you
Mm.
eat, that high sugar breakfast, like a bunch of Pop Tarts or donuts, really quick, you know, you're gonna crave those sugars. You're gonna be more likely to snack during the day. So focus on protein, natural foods, eggs, steak, maybe even some sausage or bacon, things like that. It's going to make you feel full. Later in the day, once again, meat, Greek yogurt, something like that for lunch, for dinner. If you're eating 3 meals a day, try to make all three of those high protein.
Cool. So for somebody starting out trying to lose weight, just focus on that protein goal. How much protein? Like we got the calorie calculator. Is there a protein calculator out there? Or
There may be, there probably is. So I don't ever use it. I normally recommend. So for people who are overweight, I mean, it depends on kind of your weight. If you're, you know, 350 pounds, you're extremely overweight, right? Depending on your body size, like how tall you are. But I don't I don't expect you to be eating 350 grams of protein. I normally recommend 1 gram per pound of body weight, or lean body weight if you know your fat percentage. So somewhere between zero point 0.8 and 1 gram per pound. So if you're 200 pounds, shoot for about 200 grams of protein. Less is fine too. Um, but no less than zero point 0.8. So that'd be like around 160. You'd like to get around 200. But yeah, that like I said, that protein is going to help take care of the quality or the quantity, because it's going to make you feel full. It's going to be harder to overeat. So focus on the protein.
yeah. So if you're somebody listening to this right now, where your mind should be going, literally in this moment, is okay. Go get my calorie number, go drop it 300 calories down. So if that number is 3,000, that's 2,700. And then you have 2,700 calories, and you need to eat X amount of protein within that 2,700 calories. If you do that, you will win. Like, that is the winning formula right there. Go in a 300 calorie deficit, maybe a little more, and make sure that those calories make up 150, 160, 180, 200 plus grams of protein. For me, I eat 220 grams of protein about every day, sometimes more. And if you're kind of sitting there thinking like, holy shnikey, like how do I get in that much protein? Again, it's going to come with the quality focus. When you're starting to eat salmon, steak, chicken, Greek yogurt, like all these different high protein things, like when you actually start caring what's in your food that you're eating and stop eating like a child, you'll be able to eat the protein so easy. I eat 2 meals a day and a snack, and I eat over 200 grams of protein, no problem. And so, like, that is the formula right there. Take that calorie number, that deficit number that you found, and make sure you're hitting 180 grams of protein in there, and you will win. Like you will lose weight. Bang.
Yeah. Another thing I'll add is, if like what we talked about earlier, is tracking your calories, tracking your macros too. Um, if you find yourself normally around like 50 grams of protein per day, I don't expect you to go from 50 to 200. It's not going to
Yep.
be, it's not easy, and it's not going to be healthy for your body to make that big of a jump of protein. So gradually increase, 20 grams a week, go from 50 to 70, then 90, then maybe 120, 150, start increasing it week to week, to make it easier on yourself. It's not going to be 50 to 200. That's not going to work well.
Yeah. So last point I want to get across before we go on to recovery also is not only do the calories, the unit of measure, need to comprise of quality, like that also transfers to the protein. Like this does not go out and buy Walmart's shelf protein shakes and drink 4 of those a day to hit your 200 grams of protein. Like he's saying, like don't try to jump from 50 to 200 by drinking 6 protein shakes. Like protein shakes are the last resort. Those which one, just in your mind right now if you're listening, Which one has better quality protein? A steak or a powder, a protein shake? A steak, of course. So go eat that first. If you're at the end of the day not able to eat another meal and you want to hit your protein goal, you got some calories in there, then drink the protein shake. But so many people I've seen in the past, they will literally turn, and I know people are doing it right now, not just in the past, but they will literally be like, okay, protein goal, cool. Powders, shakes, all these different stuff. And it's like, those are not quality sources of protein. We just sacrificed quality. Now our body is not able to function properly because we are just giving it crap, sources of protein. So go to the meats, go to the eggs, go to the salmons, the fishes, go to the Greek yogurts, things like that to get your protein. Don't turn to the powders first. Powders are a last resort. And then within powders, we won't get into this, but there are levels to powders. There's good powders and there's bad powders, but let's not worry about that right now. I think that's, supplements will be a whole episode on its own where we can dive deep into that. But I just wanted to get that across because I know somebody's sitting there thinking like, okay, protein shake, like they're going and they're buying those Premier chocolate deals or whatever. They're going to go buy the Premier chocolate protein cereal. Like, no, no, eggs, steak, chicken. Make your grocery list right now. Write it down. Eggs, steak, chicken.
So let me ask you this question because I've dealt with this with some of my clients in the past. Some of my clients have just they don't like eating meat. Like they eat meat when they have to because they have to hit their protein. So what are some like high protein foods that you recommend that's not like chicken or steak or something like that?
First of all, who doesn't like meat?
Dude, that's my question. That was my first question. Is what is wrong with you? Why don't you like meat?
Yeah, what? Like something's got to be wrong there. Maybe you just don't know how to cook the meat properly. That might be the
Overcooking
problem.
that steak. It's like freaking shoe leather.
Yeah, to answer your question, I mean, honestly, that's even tough for me to think about because all I eat is just so much meat. Eggs, of course, I eat eggs every day. Fish, would be my next move that I would turn to. And that can, seafood as a whole, crab, lobster, shrimp. Obviously, we got salmons and cod and stuff like that. And then I guess next I would look at is dairy. I don't like recommending a ton of dairy because it's just hard to digest. But you can go to cottage cheese, Greek yogurt. Those two kind of hit my mind. I don't know. Outside of that, I guess like what do you have anything you'd add?
No, I mean those are normally the ones I'd say. Another thing that I usually recommend is like if you don't enjoy eating meat, eat it with something else. Like if you're eating a salad for lunch, grill some chicken and put it on your salad. Eat it together with something else. Um, like a burger, put a bunch of toppings on it, maybe healthy toppings, not a bunch of, loaded sugars, but, something like, some lettuce,
Yeah,
tomato, whatever, maybe some ketchup or whatever. But it's like some people just don't like the taste of meat. They don't like the texture. So just, I recommend if you're going to eat, if you have to eat meat, eat it with something else to make it more enjoyable.
yeah, and that's actually a great point you made right there. Like the calories that are often overlooked, I feel like, is a big reason people aren't losing weight as well. Like, we need to touch on this. So, like he said with burgers, like if you are putting globs of barbecue with added sugars and high fructose corn syrup on top of your burger, not only are you getting a ton of excess calories that you're not accounting for if you're not tracking your sauces, but you're getting low quality ingredients on your burger as well. So like those are the stuff that is often overlooked. Sauces, I know, drinks are often overlooked. If you're going to Starbucks, grabbing yourself one of those, you can't even call it coffee, morning milkshakes, like that's something that is has a lot of bull crap. Trying to cuss less bull crap calories
Right.
in your diet. So, is there anything else? Drinks, sauces are the two that are hitting me.
I think
Oils,
I was gonna say oil. So when you cook, like if you're frying up some eggs or a steak and you use coconut oil or olive oil, avocado oil, anything but a seed oil, um, those count. Like a tablespoon, that's like 200 calories right there.
yeah,
Um, butter, butter, you're gonna put on your toast or your waffles. Once again, these high fat foods which fat is not bad for you. They're just more calorically dense. So that's why fat has the bad the bad rep. It's
It
just
has
more
more
fat.
calories in it.
Exactly. So, yeah, oils are the big thing. So, I mean, if you're going through tracking your calories and you're like, 3,000 is your maintenance, you're trying to get to 2,500, you're sitting at like 2,500 and you're still not losing weight. Maybe you're not tracking correctly. Maybe you're not adding those coffees. Maybe you're not adding, that soda that you drank, or, the oils that you cooked with, the butter you put on your toast. That could
Yeah,
add up to the end of the day being an extra 500 calories, and now you're not at a deficit anymore.
yeah, and those are the calories that are often overlooked. Not tracked. So, and those are tough to track too.
They are.
Like it's tough to go to Starbucks and figure out how much is in your milkshake. Like, stop getting the milkshake. That's how you track it easier. Like, grow up, drink black coffee. You are a grown man. Like, come on. So, all right, let's move on to recovery. I know we kind of beat the horse with nutrition. We went into it, but it's such a big deal. Like,
We could have made that a whole episode.
oh yeah, and we will. Like, we will continue to dive deep into these things. No doubt about it. So let's move on. Just like in terms of not losing weight, I'm training hard. Maybe I got the nutrition on lock. Maybe I found my calories. Um, but let's talk about the recovery. Like, why would I not be losing weight from a recovery standpoint?
Yep. So, biggest thing is your sleep. So, when you're sleeping, I recommend 7 to 9 hours is good sleep, or if you're like Matt Moore, get 10 hours. Um, so the sleep, when you're resting, your body is repairing. It's, re-energizing everything that you just did during the day. It's refueling, it's re-energizing. Your hormones are working. You're burning your calories, your metabolism's going. All these different things are happening when you're asleep. So if you're not getting the certain amount of rest, if you're getting 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, your body's not able to replenish, restore, repair, and it's just going to hurt your progress down the road.
Yeah, sleep, sleep, sleep. That's why I get 10 hours of sleep. Um, But when you are training hard, when you are eating properly, that's when you're maximizing your sleep as well. And that's when I'm getting 10 hours, not only am I getting 10 hours, I'm getting 10 quality hours. I can guarantee you that. And we'll get into the other micro optimizations in a later episode of how to increase the sleep. We can make that a whole episode. But yeah, sleep. Anything else in terms of recovery that you would say why people aren't losing weight?
Yeah, I think doing a more active recovery as well. So things like hitting your mobility, going for walks, um, those help just with the body. Makes the body feel better. It's easier to work out when your body feels good and you're not sore, right? So
Yeah.
doing things like stretching, some active mobility, got an ebook coming out on mobility, shameless plug, view that. Going
View
for a
that.
walk. Going for a walk, you're burning calories right there. You're moving your body, you're getting the blood flow, and you're working, right? So things like that, to where you're not just sitting on the couch watching TV. You're moving yourself, you're making your body feel better, it's recovering, and you're re-energizing yourself.
Yeah. And in terms of like an active versus sedentary lifestyle, kind of what you're saying, like, instead of just plopping yourself on the couch, like, get out, get for a walk. Like, and what will actually happen is this is going to be a domino effect for your relationships as well. Guess what? When you're out walking, you're not distracted from communicating with the people around you. Like, and you're leading your family. If you got a family, a wife, significant other, what have you, or siblings, whoever, like, get out with your parents, drive over to their house. Like, it's a great opportunity to build relationships within this too and lead others to a healthier life. Like, get the screens out of the way and go build these relationships. Like, again, stop being a child and being glued to a screen. Like, you are a grown adult. Like, have some control. So not that that's where we're going, but like, there's so much like domino effects with all of these things. Like, when you start eating right, guess what? Good foods start getting put in your house. And I even had a client one time say, well, my kids, they eat this stuff, so I can't just get rid of it. It's like, you are the father. You are the leader of the household. If you don't want to eat this stuff, why are your kids eating this stuff? Like, I was literally ready to come through the phone when I got that objection. Like, think about that. Like, if you don't want to eat this stuff, if it's not in the healthiest version of you, that's not how you should just be allowing your kids to eat or leading. Now, I understand, like, making lifestyle changes, they don't just happen overnight. Like, ridding the fridge of something your kid goes to every single day is not necessarily easy, but transition, like, start chipping away, start having the conversations with your significant other about how you want to get healthier for your family, for yourself, for your future, like all these different things. So it's like, that excuse of kids eating this garbage is just not an excuse. Step up as a leader, as a man.
I think that boils down to that genetics thing, genetics versus lifestyle. Like, are you really fat because the rest of your family is fat and it's just genetics, or is that a lifestyle thing and your parents, or you're doing the same thing that your parents are and it's just a
Yeah.
poor lifestyle? So it's one of those things that if you make a change, you're going to be helping your kids. Genetic, some people are, thicker and bigger bone than others, but you're not fat because of genetics.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, I can speak to genetics. Like, I got great genetics, but I know it's because, like, what my dad did, like, he put in some work. Um, so, I mean, he's been training his entire life. He's almost 50 now. He's jacked, got a six pack, everything. Like, he called me yesterday. He was out for a run. Like, he's been putting in work to create this lifestyle. It's where, when I was growing up, we were seeing that embodied. We had a gym in the garage. Like, we had the opportunity to get out and get to these equipment. Like, our dad was out there putting in the work. So, like, it is a lifestyle thing. It's not a genetic thing. Like, it's totally not a genetic thing. So if you're trying to blame your genetics, you're just trying to take the responsibility off your shoulders. And again, grow up. Like, that's the moral of this story. How to lose weight? Simply grow
Grow
up.
up.
Oh man, but so anything else in terms of recovery? Just I know there's a lot more we could get into with recovery.
Yeah.
But is there anything else just in terms of why I might not be losing weight? I know I need to get more sleep. I know I need to try to just recover a little bit better from soreness by getting some walks in, doing some stretching, trying to just be active. Is there anything else in that slot, just in terms of losing weight?
Those are some of the big ones. I mean, we can always go into things like sauna, or red light, but I mean that's just extra stuff you can add on, and we'll get into that another time. But I mean, like I said earlier, look at your nutrition as recovery as well. Feed your body to
Yeah,
recover from what you just did in your workout or your run, whatever. Um, and if you're at a desk job all day at a 9 to 5, sitting down, get up every hour or so, stretch, move your body. Maybe go for a walk if your job allows it. Um, you know, aim to get as many steps in as you can. That way, you don't have to
yeah,
spend all those hours and minutes doing cardio after your workout at the gym. Try to get in 10,000 steps. Go out for a walk during lunch. If it's sunny, go outside, do your work instead of sitting inside on your laptop.
yeah. Don't make it harder than it has to be. It doesn't have to be this perfect equation of a 2 hour workout and, all the right things in place. Like, maybe you'll get there over time, but right now you just got to find a way, like getting some steps in. And I know for me, like, I used to work in an office job, and many of the times, like, many employees would go to the, higher ups and say, hey, will you guys order me a standing desk? And they would. Companies understand the value of healthy employees. Like, there's no doubt about it. If they have healthy employees that don't have sick days, that are happier, like, the mood is better, the production increases. There's no doubt about it. So I guarantee if you're in one of these big kind of corporate style companies, you could probably go up the food chain and get yourself a standing desk. I know many of the employees that were surrounding me also had those walking pads underneath their desk. It's like a treadmill without the arms and stuff,
Yep.
so you can walk and work. Now, is that the most, like, optimal work environment? How am I going to walk and work? I don't know, but like find a way to get these things. Like stop just sitting there and complaining about your circumstances as to why they're not allowing you to lose this weight, and go grow up and change them. Had to throw it in there, but go change them. Like go get resourceful. I mean, I got a standing desk right here. I'll be honest, I don't use it as much as I should. Like I'm obviously sitting right now. This would have been a great, easy time to stand, but Tawny, like she's got a standing desk out there in the other room, and she's got one of those walking pads underneath. She'll walk like 6 miles every day just working. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's funny that you brought up that standing desk because I was just on a call with a client last night, and he was talking about how he's been slammed at work. He's picked up an extra job at work, and he's in the office early and doesn't get out till like 6 or 7 o'clock. He's jammed. He barely has time to go outside and walk during the day. So I was like, try standing desk, just stand up, move around some more. And he's like, oh yeah, I have a desk that adjusts to standing. I just never thought about it. I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
he'll start raising it up now to start standing. And yeah, like you said, one of those walking pads. I know a few people who have gotten those as well. Just to, like you said, it's not optimal. Maybe you may not be able to get your work done as fast, but you don't have to use it the whole day. 10, 15 minutes, just, get some steps in while you're typing up an email or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, how far are you willing to go? I know there's people sitting here thinking like, well, that stuff costs money. Like, okay, how far are you willing to go? Like, and two, companies will buy it for you because they understand the level of productivity that it will, produce. So even for yourself, if you're a business owner, like for me, if I raise this desk up, if I get a Wadding King pad, like maybe I start making more money because I'm more productive, because I'm happier, because I'm healthier. Like, so it's like, how far are you willing to go? You're $300 away from a desk that has a button push to go up and down, and a pad that will move underneath you. 150 each, probably. I know my desk was 150 straight off Amazon. So, but yeah, you just push the button and it just. So it's pretty cool. But let's just rapid fire some other stuff. I know we got some myths to kind of debunk a little bit. I know we've debunked a lot throughout this. Um, Genetics being one, kind of had the whole fasting conversation. Metabolic health being one, where you should focus on still quality over quantity. Yes, weight loss and weight gain does come down to the equation of calories, but it still should be quality. Um, I think one big thing that I really wanted to touch on was results as a category as well. Like, how should people be measuring their results? Because I know for me, when I was working with clients, it was a constant. The scale's not moving. The scale went up. And I'm just constantly having to battle that mental fight of them sitting there and just so focused on a scale number. Like, should you be weighing yourself? I think absolutely. But what's your take on just like the scale, measuring results, that conversation?
Yeah. Like the scale is just, a guide to use to measure results. The scale is not your result. Um, I mean, look at other determining factors like how do you feel? How do your clothes fit? Do your pants get up a lot easier than they did before? Are you less winded when you walk up and down the stairs?
Mm.
Um, the scale, the weight on the or the number on the scale may not be changing because of different reasons. Especially if you're looking at it, 2 weeks from when you started, you're not going to see those instant fast results. Maybe,
Yeah.
but you're likely not going to. And different things can affect that number. Maybe you're eating more carbs, which will hold more body or more water in your body, which will increase your weight. Maybe you're going harder in the gym, so you're gaining muscle. Like I said earlier, that muscle will help you in the long term. It'll help your boost your metabolism and burn more calories. Maybe you've gained a few pounds right now because of that muscle, but it's going to help you in the long run. So don't look at these short term results and get so held up on that number on the scale.
Yeah. I'm into that. And this whole notion of like muscle weighs more than fat, I think it's kind of like a weird notion. It's just literally more dense than fat. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of why it's said, but it's like a pound of fat and a pound of muscle are like the same thing. But there's a reason. Like I'm a guy. I look like a smaller guy, but I'm thicker than a Snicker because I'm dense. Like 5'9", 190 to 200 pounds is where I range, and people look at me, they're like, "Oh my god, you're 195 pounds!" I'm like, yeah, I'm a bowling ball, bro. But it's just the density of the muscle. So don't worry about that whole thing of muscle weighs more than fat. Like he's saying, and I recommend the mirror. The mirror is like the best place to look as well. Like look
Progress
in the
pics.
mirror, progress pics. Yeah, and that's what I love about 75 hard. And for people who are trying to track the scale and progress pics and all this stuff, I think you should do it daily because I think it'll calibrate your mindset going into that day that we got some work to put in. But I also think like the time frame in which you should be seeking results, I always recommend 90 days. Like if you're training hard, pushing yourself, if you are starting to figure out the calories and hit the protein and get into the flow with your nutrition, stuff we talked about, if you're getting your sleep, you can expect results after 90 days. But I would track the scale. I would track the progress pictures because it's easier to do something daily than it is weekly when you're first starting out. A daily habit is much easier to set in. So I would do those things daily, but I wouldn't start actually looking for results until 90 days. And another thing to think about is how long did you put yourself in this hole? Like how long have you been gorging out on donuts, Oreos, and a sedentary lifestyle? The last 6 months, year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's like you have put yourself in a 10-year deficit. I'm not saying it's going to take 10 years to see the results you want and get out of it, but it's like the further you put yourself in the hole, the bigger the ladder it is to climb. So it's like, what are you expecting? Like what are you expecting? And it's something where people will get discouraged by the lack of results they see, but it's like the formula because it's worked for billions. We gave you the formula on this call. Go to the gym, push yourself, find that calorie number, eat real food as a real human being, not a child, and you will
Grow up.
literally, yeah, you grow up and you will literally lose weight. So it's like, the formula. The formula is black and white. It is a numbers game, like it absolutely is. So it's like, what do you expect? Like, what are you waiting on? Like, why do you get so discouraged? Like these inputs should be something that you plan on doing for the rest of your life. It needs to become who you are at your core. You are a guy who works out. You are a guy who eats healthy. Like, so I just want to get that across too. Like what are you expecting with these results? Like for me, I'm thinking about the rest of my life when I go to the gym today.
Yep, for sure. I'm glad you covered that. It's not, if you spent most of your life building up to being overweight, it's going to take a lot of time to get back to where you want to be. It's not one of those quick, easy fixes. I mean, we've said this 100 times: is you got to put in the work. It's going to be hard. Anything worth having, it requires work. So be patient. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't get discouraged after a few weeks, a month, and you don't see results. Just keep going. Be consistent.
There we go. Hire Jake.
Yeah. If you
Last
if you don't
step.
know, yeah, exactly. Hire Jake.
There we go. Hire Jake. So I think that's all I got. I really wanted to talk about the whole results thing. I think we've debunked all the myths that I can think of, carbs, genetics, all of that. Is there anything else you want to cover? You think we're pretty good to wrap it up?
I think we're good.
Go, go, go. Well, for anybody who did listen, appreciate you guys listening. If you have any questions and you are inside of Elevate, reach out to Jake. If you're not inside of Elevate, I don't know what you're doing. Join Elevate.
Get in.
But yeah, connect with Jake, ask him questions. He's more than happy to help you guys, dissect any of this information you may have questions on. He's happy to help you punch up the calorie calculator and walk you through that process. Like, use the resources you have at hand here. Get on the training calls, be asking him questions as you're going through the journey. Get on the training calls to be held accountable. Reach out, share your goals, like get that accountability rolling. Like literally leverage the community you are a part of to become the man you want to be. Like that's exactly why this tool is here. And you have incredible resource in Jake and incredible resource and accountability of the community as a whole. So appreciate you guys for listening and drop a comment of what you want us to cover next. Next, what we're going to be doing, just quick, let guys in on it, is we're going to be talking about how to gain weight, how to put on muscle, how to get
Mulligan
jacked.
season.
So once you lose all all this fat and you're ready to, put some weight back on, get jacked, um, then you can come back and listen to that episode. But for all my skinny dudes who are ready to put on some size, like Jake and I, we were both the skinny dudes who struggled to gain weight. we're going to be diving deep into our stories and that whole thing. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
There, guys.